Hello everyone, and welcome to Pius Talk. This is a show where everyone has a story worth telling. We strive to inspire everyone in their spirituality, to motivate our parishioners in their Christian walk, and to connect and support each other through this time of social distancing. I'm Dave Bellamy, your host for today. The show comes to you from Tucson, Arizona, home of St. Pius X Catholic Community. Our guest this week is Father Richard. Welcome, Father Richard.
Thank you. Well, I do have a last name too.
Oh, well.
Yeah, you know,
Well.
but people think I am. My name is Father Richards.
Richards. Ah. Well, I know that it is not. What is your last name?
Kingsley.
Kingsley. I think I knew that. Obviously, I didn't remember that, but I think I knew that. Anyway, Father, welcome.
Thank you.
So obviously tonight is about you telling your story. So let's just dive right in. So why don't we start kind of growing up, what you were, well, I don't know, as much as you wish to tell, what you were like as a child, what your home life was like, growing up into and through high school maybe, and maybe even into college.
Okay, well, Father Nathan, who you know, I think Father Nathan Castle, a good friend of mine, my best friend, for 40 years now. We've been friends. But he said, what are you going to talk about? What you talk about? And I said, he said, what's the title? And I said, How Great I Am. And I said, you know, there's a song, How Great Thou Art, that was done for me. But, but no, seriously, you know, growing up, I was born in Salem, Massachusetts, home of the witches. Yeah, my mother was the last of them, but well, she said that. Yeah, she said that, just kiddingly. But no, she's a wonderful woman. I mean, I love my mother, but I had my brother, David, who is my Irish twin. We're 11 months apart, so in another, I don't know, what's today's date, 9th? Okay, so another 10 days, I will be his age, on the 19th on St. Joseph's Day. I will be the same age as my brother for about a month. And he lives here. He used to live 40 yards from where I live in Dorado, down the street here, where I retired to after Corpus Christi. But anyhow, he now has moved away from me. He's moved out to Ventana with all the money. So he's left us poor, you know, back here in Dorado. But anyhow, and then I had a sister, Maureen, who's 15 months younger than I am. So we were boom, boom, boom when my parents got married. And then I had a sister who I never knew because she died after a couple of months, and I was away at a relative's house, and my mother went through a hard time, difficult time at that time, losing a child. So anyways, we got a child in heaven, Anne Marie, who always looked after us, we were told. So we had her. But I grew up and I went to Catholic Grammar School, St. Thomas. I could walk to it very easily. It was not far from my house where I grew up. And
is that through the snow and uphill both ways?
Yeah. Through the snow?
That's my father always, you know, uphill both ways.
Both ways. I had to go by a cemetery and every day, so I was familiar with the dead every day. So it was dead coming and going. So I had no problem with being around the dead people now, being in the cemetery, growing up in the cemetery, or at least, yeah, the sisters used to bring us out. The Notre Dame nuns used to bring us out to clean up, you know, all the loitering that was done, and saying that we were saving souls in purgatory. So we thought we were doing something great, you know, as kids. But so I grew up and then I went to high school, Catholic high school, parochial high school, which was not far from my house either. So I could walk there, back and forth. Didn't have to go by the cemetery at that point because we had moved. No, I had a wonderful childhood and teen years. Didn't bother me to be a teenager.
Okay. Did it bother your parents?
It did, yeah.
Okay. Well,
You know, they
I'd
had
ask.
they had to get me out of jail, but you know, that's I had too much to drink one night, I guess. But that's for my confessor.
Well, that's not me.
But anyways, no. Yeah, you know, my parents are wonderful, supportive growing up. Yeah.
Okay, so in all of that, I guess when and how did you feel and hear the call to the priesthood?
You know, it was a young age, but then as I got older, I dismissed it. I didn't want to. I thought there was other things I wanted to do, not becoming a priest. But when I was a kid, I actually, my mother was a school teacher. My father worked for Raytheon. My mother was a school teacher. She taught the 4th grade for 30 years. And in a public school. We went to private school. She went to public school, a teacher. Anyways, when kids play school and that, I was never the teacher. I was always a student when we played games with my relatives. I knew my first, second, and third cousins because they all were in the neighborhood. Everybody seemed to live not far from one another, the clan, so to speak. And so with my cousins, who were my age as well, my brother and sister, we played games. But I would play the priest when it was time to play church. I would always be the priest. So I always heard everybody's confession. Oh yeah. Get that list out, you know. Yeah.
I remember when you said.
Yeah. So anyhow, I knew young. I had an altar in my room with statues and that, you know, that I collected.
So this was at what age you were?
This is in grammar school.
Grammar school, okay.
Yeah, grammar school.
All right.
And of course, when it came time to be confirmed and the bishop came and he asked, you know, who wants to be a priest, I raised my hand, you know. So it was there. And I had an uncle who was a priest, who was a Dominican priest, and he would come and visit. And he was always on vacation, so it looked like a good, you know, vocation to have. You're on vacation all the time, you know. So I thought, well, that looks pretty inviting to a kid. He was always down Cape Cod. He always got a place down there, and we'd go down and visit him. But I didn't want to become a diocesan priest. I wasn't attracted to being a diocesan priest. I wanted to be a religious priest. And then after graduation from college and dating, the girl I was dating, because I was a substitute teacher and couldn't get a job teaching at the time, and I was doing various jobs, 3 or 4 jobs, it seemed like, I finally took a job working as an insurance adjuster. So I went down to Atlanta and studied insurance law, and then came back to the Boston office. And I was low man on a totem pole where there were like 15 people above me in the company. And then an opening came in Las Vegas, and so I grabbed it. Thought I'd go out to Vegas, see what that was like at 21 years old, 22 years old. So off I went to Vegas, and it was there that this urge come back to me about looking into priesthood, religious life actually. So I got involved in the charismatic renewal, which was just starting about that time in 1973, and because of my experiences, I was attracted to the Dominican order because my uncle was a Dominican. So, and I knew something of them. So I looked into the Dominicans, the Franciscans, and the Jesuits, and finally made a decision to join the Dominicans.
Okay. And so then that was around the 22, 23-year-old?
Yeah, actually I wasn't until I was 27.
Oh,
because I worked in Vegas for 3 years, an insurance adjuster, and working at a home, the Good Shepherd. I was a counselor and teacher for wayward girls in Vegas.
In Vegas.
Yep.
I'm gonna let that one. Okay, so off to the seminary.
Actually, no. No, I mean, it was off to back east, going back home, back to Dover, Massachusetts, where they had a novitiate. So I went to novitiate in Dover, Mass, for a year, and then I went down to the House of Studies in Washington, D.C., at the House of Studies for philosophy. And then there was an exchange program with the Western Dominicans, so I applied for that, and I got to go out to the West Coast and go to Berkeley and live in Oakland at the Priory. So there was no seminary, so to speak. Well, you know, living in the Priory, I guess you could say that, but it was Graduate Theological Union in Berkeley. So I went there, and then I decided I want to stay out west. So I stayed out west and got ordained in '83, came here to the University of Arizona and was a chaplain for 3 years. And then the order sent me up to, the province sent me up to Seattle, to the University of Washington.
Okay.
And so I was there for a few years, and then I decided, you know what, I wanted to come back to Arizona, and I wanted to come back to Tucson because I had made so many friends. So I had to make a hard decision and leave the order and join the diocese.
Okay. And so where have you worked and what have you done?
With the diocese?
Yes, in the diocese.
With the diocese, Bishop Moreno, he asked me if I would mind going down to Green Valley, because I was in my late 30s, and Green Valley was, they were my age right now. They were in their 70s. And, you know, when you're in your 30s and they're going down to work people in the 70s, you kind of, you know, that wasn't the place I really wanted to go. But I said, sure, I'll go. He said, just, Richard, if you just do it for me for 6 months, all right? So I said, all right, I can do it for 6 months. Well, a year and a half later, I am banging on his door saying, get me out of here. I really loved it. I had a great time down there. I knew all the young guys. I could play all the golf courses. I mean, you know, I was like the Pope down there.
Oh.
So I worked down there, and then after a year and a half, almost 2 years, I went to Cabrini, Mother Cabrini, for 3 years with Bob Fuller, who is the one who built this parish here, was the founder of this parish, Father Fuller, Monsignor Fuller. So I worked with Bob for 3 years. And then Pius, 1990, I think it was. And the priests that were here, they weren't here. And Harry came, and I came, and Father James came, all at once, 3 of us, because there was no priest here. They all, whatever happened, I don't know. But so Father Harry and I came at the exact same time. In fact, I got here a little bit before him. And I moved into the rectory, and I moved into his room. And he didn't like that. So we changed rooms.
Okay.
Everything was fine.
Good.
Yeah, no, I love Harry. Harry's great.
And you served here for how long?
I was here for 8 years.
Okay.
Yeah, I was here 8 years.
And then you moved over to Corpus Christi? Or it was something in between?
Actually, I was, Bishop Moreno asked me to, I got to go to Casa Grande.
Okay.
So I was appointed to be the pastor at Casa Grande. And at the time I was making the move out there, something happened with the new parish that had started, and Father James. And so the bishop told me, hang on and hang in there and be patient. And he said, you know, you're not going to Casa Grande. So then as things turned out, I became the administrator of this new parish. I forget the name of it. Can't think of what the name of it was, but it was an Irish name. Oh, Brendan's, St. Brendan's, yeah, St. Brendan's, yeah, St. Brendan's. So I took over there, and Father James retired from being pastor there, so I was appointed pastor there.
Okay.
And built the parish from about 150 households to over 1,000.
Wow.
So it was great. It was wonderful work building the parish from scratch.
Well, great.
Yeah.
And now you celebrate with us, and we are
And now
happy
I'm back.
to have you
Lo
back.
and behold, I'm back here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we're certainly
I
lucky
retired
to have you.
down the street.
Retired and serving with us, and we appreciate it.
I love being here.
We love having you. It's wonderful to have you. It's wonderful to have you this evening. Appreciate your time. Is there any kind of last parting comments, if you will, that you'd like to share with our audience?
As you get older and as you develop in your spirituality, in your understanding of God and your relationship with God, and you go through some difficulties in your life and the challenges, it's what life is all about, and God is with us there all the time. I mean, I've known the presence of God all my life, and God's always been with me, and I'm very blessed. So, as a Dominican, still, I like to think that we're called to bless people, to preach and to bless and to praise, and so that's what I like to do.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you for your time this evening. Thank you for sharing your story. Well, thank you for joining us today. We're so glad you're with us. If you liked what you heard, press that little like button right there. Share your comments. Also, what's your story? We'd love to hear from you. Don't forget, you can subscribe to our channel and get notifications for upcoming events. So tune in next week for another episode of Pius Talk. Again, thanks for being with us. In the meantime, stay safe, pray always, sing like you mean it. God bless you. This has been Pius Talk.